Well, officially welcome everybody to our Monday night call. I think it is November 7th, if I remember correctly. And I am currently in Thessalon, Ontario, sitting next to Lake, what did we decide? Lake Huron, whatever it is,
Huron.
cold with the wind coming off of it, let me tell you. But it's actually +5 out here. So it's more beautiful than it is elsewhere in our country right now. Anyway, we're excited. I want to kick in with we're going to cover some highlights of what's new. I hope Reg will share a little bit of that with us. I've not been on the calls for a week. And also some updates on some of our stories and some updates on some of the new information or new studies. I'm not sure what Reg has found. He's recently visited with his dad, Dr. Reg McDaniel, one of the doctors who have been a main part of studying aloe vera and all of its super components. So we're going to start with stories first, though, and I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the lead because I'm so blown away that I have been on the road now for 7 days, like this with the wind, and literally traveling across. I don't know how many kilometers I've done, but it's a lot from Vancouver so far. I'm an hour out of. Oh, no, pardon me. I wish I'm 7 hours away from Stittsville, Ottawa area where I'm heading. But what I'm so thrilled with, there's a couple of things. One, I've come off the road every night, virtually almost pain-free. Last night was my only night I had a hard time with my neck, but I think that's just, after 6 days, that wasn't too bad, but no problems again today. My body is not hurting, and normally I would be crawling by now. But the biggest thing for me that has been so noticeable is the lack of PTSD. When I drove at one time, I used to just be pretty much a wreck. Everything was a kind of thing when it was semis or whatever it was. My last trip out here 2 years ago, I had been on another supplement that had some great herbs and things in it. And I noticed that I was not nearly as nervous. In fact, coming over hill going, realizing I'm in the same lane as the semi coming at me and a deer jumping across at me, I didn't even freak. This time it's actually just been laughter. Oh, look, there's a deer on the road. And it's just been so easy. It's been rainbows and sunshine. And thankfully, I've been ahead of the weather. But what I'm so amazed about, when I left, I think pretty much every nail on my hand was broken and chunks missing and, torn cuticles and everything else. It's like to pack things and load my car up and so on. And I'm a nail picker, I'm a biter. And I literally finally got to file them tonight. I have not picked at them. I have not chewed on them. They have stayed broken. They have not bugged me. Normally that would bug me so much. It would be such an anxiety thing. And I can only contribute it to LuminAloe because I certainly haven't done anything different. And I have been, just blown away that 7 days on the road and I have not ripped all those broken nails off. So I'm pretty excited about that. And just the basic changes of being able to sleep, being able to do such a quick recovery every night with my sleep, that I wake up in the morning and my body is ready to go again. So I'm beyond delighted. Vivian was going to be on and sharing her story with us tonight. She has a remarkable story. I can't wait for you all to hear it. But she's one of the homes that still has no power on Vancouver Island. So no Vivian, no story tonight. I know it's been, I think, 3 or 4 days already. That just seems crazy to me. Anyway, but we have Charlotte. No, we have Meredy, sometimes known as Charlotte. Meredy, I would love for you to share some of your story with us because I know there's been some differences. Can you unlock yourself? Tell us what's been going on for you. Not unlock.
Well, I'm not discussing what I discussed last week.
No, you don't have to do that. Show us your eye. Can you take your glasses off and tell us about your eye? Oh, wow. Look at that. Okay, yeah. Tell us about your eye.
Well, I had Bell's palsy in 2001, and it was actually Ramsay-Hunt disease, which is part of shingles, right? So it's it came back 3/4 of the way because I couldn't close my eye for 6 months. I still have a drool on my left side, no muscle, on the one side and all that stuff. But anyway, my eye is getting better. and I'm getting tingling through there. So I'm thinking that's helping.
Well, your eye is definitely much more open than what
Yeah.
it was. I know we snapped a picture on you on the very first call you're at, I think. Well, how long have you been on LuminAloe now? 2 weeks?
2
3?
weeks, yeah.
2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
Anything else you're noticing yet?
Well, yesterday and the day before, I had terrible cramping in my legs.
Ah.
And I don't know, is that part of the process?
We have all been experiencing that. And Reg, this is the perfect time for you to jump in and tell us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it can be. It happens a lot. It's just a detoxification. There's several ways the body can detox itself. The most common way is diarrhea. And then the next one is fever, just to burn off the bad stuff. Another way is to sweat it out through your skin, and it smells awful. And cramping of the legs, headaches can occur, because it's detoxing the brain of heavy metals. And so it's just you gotta what we call cowboy up or cowgirl up in Texas. You can take less and it'll still happen, or you can take what you should and just get it over with.
Yeah, because I'm fine today.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Reg, speaking of cramping, just to jump in on this, so just because you're the only gentleman on this call, but I mean, you've medically done or researched and looked at all the studies.
Yeah.
I've noticed, so this is my 4th or 5th menstrual cycle on LuminAloe, and I feel that my cramping is getting more. I feel like it's almost like I'm doing like a bigger shed or bigger detox like every single time, because this last cycle was like, I've never in my 36 years of being a woman have never experienced the cramping that I endured the last 4 days. Like it was almost like paralyzing.
Did you try heat and cold packs, by the way?
I mean, yes, I've read things on not putting heat packs and heat things on your system, but like it was one of those things, like it's quick, but it was just like it was almost like it hormonally I'm balanced from a actual hormone component of things, but my cramping this cycle was just like wild, like absolutely wild. And I don't know if that's just,
well, as you may recall, it takes about 120 days to replace virtually every cell in your body, and that's what you're approaching. And so out with the old and in with the new.
Yeah. I feel like it's been getting progressively worse the last like 3 cycles.
I understand.
So it's just like this one, I was like,
hard to function, huh?
Like I was just like,
well, regardless of,
I don't want to take Advil, but yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Regardless of what you read about heat and cold packs, I highly recommend at least a cold pack temporarily, just to give you temporary relief. Cold feels so much good, really, really good compared to heat, and I don't, on a situation like that, I don't recommend heat and then cold and then heat and then cold. I just recommend cold straight through, but not long periods of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the magnesium oil really helped a lot on my stomach. And then my dog is fantastic from an energy healing perspective. So he just jumped on and put his paw right on me, just like to pull it right out. Like he's so good at grounding when it comes to
that. Of that for you. Yeah.
Okay. Like paw right on the stomach. But yeah, cramping.
Reg, is that usual? Do you know anything?
Quite honestly, in all my years, I've never had that come up. So no, I wouldn't call it usual. But I never had a large group of people, more than 30, say, that I've ever spoken to and heard just, I've been to conventions with testimonials, but most women wouldn't give that in a crowd of 4,000. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a private thing that I think has just been unmentioned and not said. But you're the first one I've ever heard. It's kind of like, oh, here's a new way of detox. I have to memorize that now. You know what I mean? Because I haven't heard that one before. Honestly, haven't.
Well, it's just because like as we sort of go through everything, it's just like, okay, like we've been sort of tracking what's going along with different things. And I know I have a lot of cysts as well. Like I have a massive dermoid that's just been chilling in my uterus for couple
forever.
years, like, and so like, I don't know as well too, if
Well,
like half the pain is also like working through the
well, the
cyst.
good news is I have had testimonials on that being no longer a part of your life. What you just said, the cysts.
Yeah.
And one of the common, shall we say, preventions of pregnancy is called endometriosis,
Mhm.
which is the scarring of the fallopian tubes. And we've had hundreds and hundreds of testimonials I personally heard of that reversal. So it's no longer a part of their lives, and they're able to get pregnant, have a normal pregnancy. So
Wow.
that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Nice. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share, a new story that's going on for them?
I just want to mention that I noticed my teeth are getting stained.
Me
You know
too.
what's interesting?
But-
I noticed my teeth starting getting to whiter. So at the 12 week mark, I was literally like, no, like, look at my teeth. Like, I was just like,
I'm going, mine are yellow because I drink my LuminAloe at night and go to sleep and I think it stays on all night. Just,
Well,
I'm gonna let it just heal my teeth, but I think they're yellower.
well, what I did was I took baking soda and made it with paste and brushed my teeth with that, like once every couple of days. So it's not quite as noticeable.
Okay,
Reg, what have you heard?
what have I heard?
Yeah, for
About
teeth.
Teeth? Never heard about teeth. You guys are the first teeth group I've ever had. I mean, you guys are just a hodgepodge at first. That's
Well,
really,
we're pretty
But-
wild around here.
yeah, but once again, in my past, I was very successful financially because I would buy products from different companies and sell them in my wellness center, which I had in Utah and Nevada. I did not recruit large amounts of people to have this kind of relationships that I'm experiencing for the first time in my life. And, to kind of let you know, in the past, I didn't like developing relationships. I was a one-man band. I just, I get an idea, I go with it. It's all me. I make it happen. I run the business, and I don't need other people. So it's been a huge adjustment for me to build relationships in Ascend Sciences. And I enjoy it. It's fun, but it's a challenge because I'm, what they call a self-made man. And I expect that of others. And that's really not how you develop a relationship. You help others grow, you help them succeed, you give them, you send them things to help them, change their belief system so they can believe in themselves and they can believe in you. And so that's been a big shift for me, which I'm enjoying, and it's working. But just want you to know, we all have our fortes and we all have our things that we're not strong at, and that's never been a strong thing. I didn't have any friends till about 20 years ago. I never needed friends. I just had my wife. That's all I needed. Now I have a lot of friends. That was a big adjustment for me. So FYI.
I don't have a lot of friends, but it's just because I'm weird.
No, what's interesting to me is it's literally impossible to calculate what's going to happen to who, because everybody's life is unique as a fingerprint, and you've been exposed to different toxins, different diets, different cultures, different temperatures, different atmospheres, different levels in sea level, and all of those things create stress on every cell in our body. And so our body learns to adjust and does things to compensate. And what's really fun is you learn to ignore a lot of things that happen to you in life, and you just learn to live with them, and you forget they're even a part of your life. You've ignored it so well. And then all of a sudden, taking LuminAloe, oh, I didn't realize that old sports injury from high school is gone. It's totally gone, or I can feel this again when I couldn't feel before, or whatever. It's just story after story after story of people learning to ignore and live with stuff that they've been told they need to ignore and live with or treat the rest of their life with drugs. And now it's a whole new world, a whole new ballgame. And that's a lot of fun to see.
Well, and I think it's a lot of fun with us, Reg, because we're really testing this. We're running it through the hoops in the sense of we don't know what to expect. As you say, everybody's different, but we really are committed to sharing, because we know as we go forward, 2 months from now, it'll be double the people here, and 6 months later,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's really learning. So let's go on to tell us, what did you learn with your dad?
I was hoping you were gonna ask. Well, the absolute biggest accomplishment of visiting my dad, which was my goal, and I exceeded my goal actually, was he received a patent. Has got over 300 patents. They're all expired, okay? But that doesn't mean the product doesn't work anymore because the patent expired, right? So the very first patent that they were given back in what was it, 1992, as Carrington Laboratories still existed. I'm going to read this patent number to you, and you might want to write it down on these glasses here. So it's patent number 5,106,616, granted on April 21st, 1992. And this is by United States Patent Office. Now, to get a patent, all you have to do is prove your product works and that it can be duplicated, that it works. You don't have to jump through billions of dollars of expense and red tape like a drug does. Okay, a patent is different. So the patent that was issued, they had it put on a stainless steel plate and put on a plaque. And it's hung on his wall since 1992. And then the hospital, Dallas Fort Worth Medical Center, where he was the owner of the pathology lab and the medical director for pathology, they received a duplicate of the patent, exactly like this, on a plaque, and they hung it on the wall. Well, that hospital has since gone out of business, and he pulled it off the wall because they were just gonna, it's just nobody goes to that hospital anymore. And so when I was there, I noticed it on the floor standing up, that it had been yanked off the wall, and then over here on his office, same office, was this patent. And this is what it looks like. And I've been trying for a year to get the measurements and to try to get, let's see how close I can get it. See that number, 5 million, et cetera. I've been trying to get pictures, and I was going to have a replica made of this. And I asked my dad if I could have it. I told him I thought it was the greatest accomplishment in his lifetime. And it is. And he started crying because I said that. But anyway, on the patent on the top, it's doctors Bill McAnally, who was the PhD pharmacologist who discovered the molecule, isolated it, and found a way to stabilize it so it was always effective, and had a pretty much indefinite shelf life. Dr. Robert H. Carpenter, who was the DVM on here, doctor of veterinary medicine, did the animal studies, and then Harley R. McDaniel, MD, who did the human studies. And McAnally and McDaniel were from Grand Prairie, Texas. That's where they lived at the time, and Bastrop, Texas is where Carpenter lived. And was assigned to Carrington Laboratories in Irving, Texas. And it says, a method of activation, induction, and enhancement of the production of interleukin-1 and prostaglandin E2 in a mammal by monocyte and macrophage peripheral blood adherent cells, comprising administering to a mammal an amount of ace-mannan sufficient to affect monocyte and macrophage stimulation, resulting in medical benefits that include, so the benefits I'm going to read is A through F, and it kind of clarifies what all that jargon means. Modulation of the immune system. That means if it's too high, it brings it down to normal. If it's too low, it brings it up to normal. Enhanced wound healing. So they would take their gel and put it on wounds that wouldn't heal on people who are in bed at rest homes, and they say treat that one with the regular way, treat that one with our gel, and they had a fine per day that wound was open at that center, and the ace-mannan would close up in 2 to 3 days, and the other would take 2 to 3 weeks. So enhanced wound healing. Vaccine systemic adjuvant effect, which means if you add it to a vaccine, the vaccine works better and doesn't harm the recipient, be it man or animal. D, general antiviral activity. And they found that it was antiviral against any virus known to man: Hong Kong bird flu, AIDS virus, the common cold, the flu, and today it would be COVID-19. Number E, malignant tumor and leukemic cell destruction. That's the most powerful sentence on the whole thing in my book. People say, wow, if there was a way to get rid of malignant cell growth, you know, the whole world would know about it. Well, here's a patent and there is a way, and the whole world doesn't know about it because they don't want them to know about it. And finally, F, clinical improvement for patients with AIDS, colitis, multiple sclerosis, neuralgia, multiple bacterial and parasitic infections. So I've said for months that we've been doing this, it's antibacterial, anti-parasitic, antiviral. The only thing not on here, because they haven't done the study yet, is anti-aging, which is they've proven that it reverses 13 biomarkers by 20 years. So you are physiologically 20 years younger. It's not that you feel it, you are 20 years younger. The density in your bones is thicker, and the other 12 biomarkers are changed to a 20-year, you know, better situation. So that brings us to the one study I mentioned that I really want to get my hands on, and here it is. I got it. The biggest thing to come along in years, and this was done by a vaccination manufacturing company. They sent this to every single chicken grower in the Europe and United States, this study. And what they did is they put a very, very tiny amount of the powder with the vaccine, you know, we'll say shook it up, and then they'd vaccinate the chick. And what happened was when you normally vaccinated chickens for decades, they would not eat or drink, and they would just kind of be like zombies, literally zombies. And then after 24 to 48 hours, they'd start eating feed and drinking water and fatten up. Well, this eliminated that completely. So they weren't zombie chicks. Okay, that was the first thing they noticed. Second thing they noticed was these chicks would grow faster with less feed, which was amazing. So that tells me the vaccination prevented them from gaining physical weight to some degree. And then the third thing it did that was pretty phenomenal was there's this malignant cell growth that's grows under the skin of chickens, and you don't know that chicken has that malignant cell growth until you've raised the bird completely to adulthood, defeathered it, gutted it, and then it's hanging by its legs for final inspection, and they see these lumps under the skin. That's when you know. And they have to snip it at the legs, drop it into a bin, burn it to an ash, and you've lost all of that production, you know, feed, water, time, resources, you know. And that affected about I would say 8 to 10% of the flock, if not more. Once they started adding the ACE mannan to the vaccination, it 100% eliminated that. They never had chickens have that again. So you weren't cutting legs and burning them anymore. That increased the production of the chicken industry by about 30%. That's why it was called the biggest thing to come along in years. And they've done over, back in my day, 95, they'd done over 8 billion chickens with this. And since then, it's probably a trillion, you know, since 1995. So that's another thing I got. He gave me a study, not related, but I didn't have this one, on the cordyceps militaris that we use. And this study he gave me, and it's got his handwriting on it at the top here and stuff, helped in the treating of chronic kidney disease. It's a 2-page study from 2 different countries. And one had 51 patients and the other one had 22. Oh, actually, one had 1,746 participants, excuse me. And they only included 22 studies that involved those 1,746 participants. And it increased creatine clearance. Let's see, I like this other one the better. Let's see, significant improvement in kidney function, decreased blood pressure 15% after 1 month, reduced urinary protein, increased superoxide dismutase enzymes, and it improved normal kidney function, 89% of all the patients that participated. And it was a key to good kidney health. So there's a lot of people on kidney dialysis, and that I thought that was a really awesome study. The next one I have, you remember me telling you the story of a child that was born with dwarfism. The little girl had enlarged head and shortened arms and legs, and it was obvious it was a dwarfism situation. And the mother started feeding the enhanced nutrition to the baby in the formula from birth, which tells you can feed this to babies in his food. And it's not in the diet, it's not in our food chain. So the only place you're going to get it is LuminAloe. So I do not have a before picture, which I'm sure you all have seen, a baby that has those enlarged features. But I did get a picture of the after, when she got married 8 months ago, and she's 5'7" tall, holding the flowers. So I've got the after picture. I'll move it in a little bit so you can see her face. But see, she's pretty tall. Not your typical, small person. And then, I got a bunch of other stuff, but I can't, take the whole night. But I just think those were kind of the biggest highlights. But to be able to get that plaque meant the world to me, and not have to duplicate it. And I'll carry that on my wall forever with great pride. And anybody can look it up and see it's a verbatim what I just read to you. And we got the solution if you got the problem.
Oh, Reg, that's just awesome. Would you send a picture of that and email it to me?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Of the bride or of the chicken study, or what?
Actually, both, no, of the patent and of the
Oh,
bride.
sure.
Because
Okay.
you've talked about her before.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and we'll share that out with the recording of tonight's call.
Okay.
That's awesome. Quick question on that. I want to go back to oh my gosh, I just lost the last study that you talked about with the lowered blood, the lowered blood pressure and so on. How long was that study? Do you know?
How long? How long
before people see a blood pressure lower?
Some of them was on, I read it, I skipped over it, but some of them was 30 days.
Okay, wow, that
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, I'll look and see on the first one, because that one I don't know.
Okay. Well, Reg is looking. Does anybody have any questions you'd like to ask of Reg, or anything that you've been thinking about or wondering about? Tonight's a good night to do that.
Reg, what
Yeah.
have you heard in regards to how fast broken bones repair themselves?
Just at an accelerated rate, as far as days, no, because it does activate stem cells, which come from the bone marrow, which the body uses to heal anything in the body it needs. The body can take a stem cell and create new kidney cells or new liver cells or new brain cells. And so when there's a fracture in the bones, it helps to accelerate the healing. Actual days, I don't know. Just that it will get better faster.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Was that the girl that had dwarfism? Did
Yes.
she have LuminAloe for her whole life, or just for the first year of her life?
She had it for many years of her life.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was with the original company back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
1995. And it was actually 3 to 4 products. You take the Diascorea, which was in a tablet form, and you crush that into a powder in a poultice kind of thing. And then there was the powder was called Manipole, which was a white powder, the yellow powder. So you had to buy a jar of the white powder, the tablets. And then they had 12 vine ripened fruits and vegetables that had the most studies on being able to help the body repair and heal itself. So you take those 3 and you mix it all together, and then you put not a large amount, we'll say for an infant like that, probably a teaspoon 3 times a day, and the mom just kept religiously doing that, and her features just kept changing for better and better. On the Down syndrome individual, Michelle, and I've got her book here it is. I'll show you before and after. This is a Down syndrome before, and then Michelle started taking it at about the age of 12, I believe, and in 3 years' time, her physical features changed to normal. In the
Wow.
first year, she no longer had to go to the hospital for emergency situations. Her main primary one was breathing that would require an inhaler. So I don't say the deviation from normal by name. Okay. But in here are several pictures of her, like when she was a little baby, when she was first
Yeah.
born, growing up and stuff. And then she became within a year, she became a straight A student. And then she eventually learned sign language and teaches sign language. And she runs a call center at a major auto dealership in Las Vegas, in her 30s now. And she's independent, completely independent of her parents. She lives in her own apartment, makes her own living, and they have no worries. I believe they're both still alive, the parents. So
Did you
That's
say she
fantastic.
started it? Did you say she started taking it at 12, Reg?
yeah,
Now the dwarf baby
Was
was
that
at 1?
right. Yeah,
right.
within a few months of being born, they're
Okay.
putting in her baby bottle, in the formula.
Yeah.
That's when they started,
Um,
because that's
but
when they
Mich-
heard about it, kind of thing.
back to Michelle, she was 12 years old.
I believe so. Yeah, it says here.
Wow, that's
All she
incredible.
was. Yeah. I mean, I know that we've never reversed dwarfism on an adult individual. But if you can catch it at an early age, there's a shot at it. Okay.
Right.
Now, this is Reg McDaniel giving his hypothetical next. I think it's possible when the cure's done and taking nutrition, maybe things can happen. That's a big stretch though. I'm just thinking, I'm going to try it. I actually saw a small person the other day and I was going to talk to him, but being the cure is not going to be done till the middle of next year, I decided I'll see plenty of small people between now and then, but I will go to someone and say, I want to do an experiment with you and see if we can, change your life. Would you be willing to try? I'm not afraid to do that. I do that all the time. I get people in my car when I'm driving for Uber that are alcoholics and drug addicts. And I tell them, I found a way to make it easy to no longer do that. You just take this LuminAloe and it satisfies your craving for that sugar that your body's craving, that you keep consuming alcohol and drugs to appease. And there's no, side effects that the drugs have. They illicit drugs. So.
Well, I would agree, Reg. Other thing that I've really noticed on this trip, besides the fact that my ankles aren't swelling,
Yeah.
is that my lack of craving for sugar has really shifted. I can't do it. So
That's very common. Yeah.
yeah. And you just know, I notice it more traveling because I don't have normal food all the time. So it's good. All right. Well, I think we've done a great job tonight. Anything else? Yes. What?
I almost forgot. This was the second greatest score.
Okay.
There was this manual sitting on the floor in my dad's office, and I'm opening it up and I'm looking through it. It says unique solution to the global health crisis. And this, it's probably about 300 pages. And there's a lot of color pages in it, was the solution for the country of India to implement using this enhanced nutrition to change their paradigm in health. And it was very, a lot more affordable than pharmaceuticals. And they never could afford to do it. But this is like the game plan, And so I took it to a copy shop. I paid $50 and had it duplicated exactly, even in color. And I guess they didn't know it was in color because it only cost me $50 to get it duplicated. And there's a lot of color photos in there. Should have cost a lot more. But that was a big score to me. And I'm going to show this to Joe at lunch tomorrow for the first time. And we're going to probably make another copy of it, one for me and one for the Ascend Sciences Library. But that was a big score. It's like finding the game plan for the Dallas Cowboys who won the Super Bowl last year or something like that. It was pretty big.
I think this might be more important, Reg.
Yeah, pretty big deal to me. I'm not a sports fan, but I'm just, using it.
No. Very, very cool. Very exciting. One last question before we go, and this is more of an update. I understand we are going into Mexico soon.
That's what
product is
Joe
going
said.
in?
He thinks the labels will be ready this Friday. And interesting thing about Mexico, and everybody needs to know this, in case you had thought of maybe someone in America shipping our product to Mexico, which wouldn't be necessary, but we cannot include hemp seed powder in our formulation in Mexico. They're just too anti-drug with marijuana and hemp. CBD stuff, you know, to be reasoned with at this time. We think in the future we can change their minds, but for now, the LuminAloe that goes into Mexico will not have hemp seed in it, hemp seed powder. And that's just one of the things you have to adjust to when you're going to other countries, their belief system and their rules and their regulations. So I thought that was interesting. So I prefer you don't send any LuminAloe to Mexico that has hemp seed in it, because if they see it at customs with the word hemp seed, it could get confiscated or not sent, something like that.
Right. Okay, well, that's great. That's exciting.
I just have a
right.
question though. Why is that though, when marijuana is legal in Mexico?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, if you were to come to the corporate call on Thursday, that would be an excellent question to know.
Okay.
Because he'd know the answer. I don't know the answer. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions before we go, everyone?
Can I tell everybody that I'm doing an experiment and hope to have some results next week?
And we want pictures.
Well, I've got 2 pictures so far, so.
Yeah.
So just as a kind of a tidbit, my daughter suffers from cold sores quite a lot. So she got a cold sore yesterday, and we are experimenting with putting a paste on it when she goes to bed at night and taking some pictures on what it's doing over the next couple days. So,
Okay.
Cool. Yes, can't wait to see.
yeah, me too.
I've had a sneak preview, so I know it's good news.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This has been fun. Thank you, Reg. It's always so great to hear all the different studies and the certainty of things that are happening. When, you know, I had a question from somebody said, I can't be on, but ask about blood pressure. I'm going, I know that's true. I know that's so, but you already told us in the study that is, so that's fantastic. So everyone have a great week. We will be back next Monday, same time, same place, I think. Yes, right. There's no holidays next week, is there? No. Okay. I just don't know what time zone I'm in, but I'll have hopefully caught up a little bit by then. All right, everybody. Have a great week. Love you all.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.